Hello everyone, this is Ritikesh Gautam as I promised you that I'm going to start with the Polity lecture series. Before entering into the concept and subject matter of polity, today I'm going to discuss with you all few basic constitutional terms, few basic terminologies, or you can say the glossary of the subject. When you begin studying for the polity, you often found yourself in the middle of the road because your conceptual clarity about basic terms such as federation, unitary, delegation, devolution of power, what is constitution. So today I am going to discuss with you all those basic key terms. So let us begin. You all have studied organs of the government, political systems, why governments have been classified into three types: presidential, semi-presidential, what is the basis, written constitution, unwritten constitution. So let us begin. What is constitution? A constitution can be defined as a power map or a legal document which guides different institutions of the government or different organs of the government how they ought to exercise their power. For example, there are executive power, union power, executive power of the union and the center, how president is ought to perform its power, how judiciary is ought to perform its power. So constitution guides different organs of the government to exercise their power in a particular manner, the do's and don'ts. Constitution is also defined as the fundamental law of the land. Now, as such, there is no widely accepted classification of the constitution, but we broadly classify constitution into two divisions. First set of division, written constitution and unwritten constitution. Second set of division, rigid constitution and flexible constitution. What is the basis of classifying written and unwritten constitution? First of all, keep this in mind. दुनिया का कोई भी constitution ना तो पूरी तरह से written है ना तो पूरी तरह से unwritten है. No constitution in the entire world is either completely written or unwritten. But what are the unwritten parts? India has a written constitution, but in India there are different parts which are unwritten. Unwritten parts of the constitution are known as conventions. But what is the basis to classify a particular constitution as written or unwritten? To be noted, if a particular constitution is drafted by and it is a product of a constituent assembly, it is known as written constitution. I repeat, whenever a particular constitution is drafted by a constituent assembly and a constitution is product of a constituent assembly, it is known as written constitution. But what is a constituent assembly? A constituent assembly may be defined as a body of popularly elected representatives which is constituted for the purpose of drafting a constitution. I hope this is clear. United States of America is an example of written constitution, whereas Britain, United Kingdom is an example of unwritten constitution. And here is a fun fact for you. The constitution of UK is known as mother of all constitution. Why it is known as mother of all constitution? We will discuss all those basic facets in upcoming video lectures. Now, rigid and flexible. What is the basis for classifying a constitution as rigid or flexible? The basis is amending procedure. If the amending procedure is simple, it is flexible. If the amending procedure is complex, it is rigid. By amending procedure, I mean, what are the methods to amend the constitution? When I say an amending procedure is rigid, it means that for amending the constitution, you need a special majority. What is majority? Majority is the minimum number of votes you are required to make an act, make a bill an act, to pass a bill from the particular house, either it is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or in general any other house of the parliament around the world. United States of America is an example of rigid constitution because it requires a special majority. Whereas when amending procedure is very easy in United Kingdom because the Parliament of United Kingdom is very powerful. There's a popular saying that Parliament of United Kingdom can do anything except for changing a man into a woman. Why? Because it can amend the constitution even by a simple majority. It does not need any kind of a special majority. Hence, the classification on the basis of amending procedure is rigid and simple. What about India? India is a mix of rigid and flexible constitution. While the majority of provisions in Indian constitution are amended by special majority, there are certain provisions which can be amended by a simple majority. We will discuss in detail in the further lectures. Now, let us discuss about the types of majorities found in Indian constitution. Majorities are broadly classified into four classifications: absolute majority, special majority, simple majority, and yes, effective majority. In this video, I'm not going to discuss about the majorities in detail because it is an important topic and in your syllabus, amendment have been mentioned separately. When will I talk about amendment, I will give you the entire crux of the types of majorities found in Indian Constitution. Now, let us discuss about the important 3Ds, delegation, devolution and decentralization of power. It is to be noted that in the entire world, whenever there is a political administrative structure and a government acts in a certain manner, there is a transfer of power from the higher level of government to lower of the government. I repeat, there is always a transfer of power from the higher level of government to the lower level of the government. What do I mean when I say the power is delegated or when I say the power is a devolved power? Whenever there is a delegation of power, the power has been transferred through executive act. Higher level of the government have passed an order that lower level of the government, I am giving you this power to act in a certain manner. But this power is unstable. Why? Because it can be taken away easily. The next order government can give, I am taking away this power from you. But when a power is devolved power, the transfer of power takes place through legislative act. What does that mean? Baqaida law pass hua hai, law has been passed from both the house, law has been granted the assent of the president. This type of delegated power or devolved power is a stable power. Why? Because it cannot be taken away easily. Example, 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment. Now, what is decentralization? It is to be noted that in decentralization, center is not the source of power. The subnational governments, the state governments enjoy original powers mentioned in Constitution. They do not have delegated or devolved power, rather they have original power mentioned in Constitution. Hence, we say that Indian polity is a decentralized polity. Now, let us discuss about the different types of political system. For example, unitary, federation, confederation. What is a unitary political system? For example, China is a unitary political system. In unitary political system, the state governments, the subnational unit, they do not have original power. Rather, they have delegated or devolved power. For them, center is the source of power. For example, in China, their different provinces, they do not have original power under constitution. Chinese government, the Chinese central government grants them power either by delegation or devolution. They do not have original powers. But in federation, the subnational governments, the state governments, they enjoy original powers mentioned in constitution. Center is not the source of power. For example, 7th schedule. 7th schedule in constitution mentions union list and state list. Union list and state list. What do I mean by that? Yes, of course, there is a concurrent intent also. But union list, union government will perform power in whatever subjects mentioned in union list, and the state governments have separate set of original powers mentioned in state list. So can I say that India is a federation, or can I use the word federalism and decentralization interchangeably? Yes. Now, to understand what is confederation, we need to compare it with federation. Confederation is defined as a loose federation. In federation, units cannot come out. For example, today Madhya Pradesh cannot say that I don't want to remain with Indian Union, I am going to form my separate set of country. No. For example, India. But what do I mean by confederation? In confederation, units can come out of power. For example, European Union. European Union can be called as a confederation because recently Britain, the issue of Brexit, recently Britain exited from the European Union. Units can come out of power. Hence, confederation, in confederation, center is weak, and in federation, center is strong. Now, let us discuss about the different organs of the government. There are 3 organs of the government: legislature, executive, and judiciary. What are the functions of these institutions? The function of legislature is to make laws. The function of executive is to implement those laws. And the function of judiciary is to review those acts and deliver justice. All the 3 organs of government have been created in such a manner to create checks and balance. We say that all the 3 organs of the government, in India, there is no strict separation of power like United States of America. We will discuss it further in the further lectures. But in India, all the 3 organs of the government are institutionalized to create a check and balance, where one organ of the government checks the power of the other organ and maintains the balance of power. Now let me tell you the different types of government. You all have heard parliamentary form of government, presidential form of government, semi-presidential form of government. Take a note. In this video, I'm not going to tell you about semi-presidential form of government because it is a hybrid model which is exercised in France. We will keep our topic of discussion related to what is needed. For example, what is the basis of classifying government into parliamentary or presidential? Keep in mind, the relationship between executive and legislature of a particular constitution or a particular political administration gives us the idea. In parliamentary form of government, executive is fused into legislature. For example, India is a parliamentary government. In India, there are no separate set of elections to choose the Prime Minister. In India, member of Lok Sabha is elected, and in between the member of Lok Sabha, you select your cabinet ministers, you select your prime ministers, the leader of largest party in the house. So, in India, executive is fused into legislature. Cabinet ministers, they attend the meetings of legislature. They sit in parliament. In this manner, executive is fused into legislature. Hence, we have parliamentary form of government. And what about presidential form of government? Whenever you heard the word presidential form of government, keep in mind the example of United States of America. In America, you have different election. Keep in mind the name of the parliament of America is Congress. Congress is the name of Parliament of America. In America, the election of president happens separately and the election to the Congress happens separately. Hence, there is a strict separation of power between legislature and executive. In America, executive is not fused into legislature. Hence, it is presidential form of government. Now, electoral system. Why elections are important? What is election? Why election is of so much significance? Whenever the general elections came, entire India is celebrating that like a festival. Why it is important in a democracy like India, the vibrant democracy? India is a representative democracy. Given the huge size of India, representative democracy in India is inevitable. So, in order to elect your representative who represent your area, who represent your views, who represent you in the parliament, election is necessary. What is the significance of election? For example, we say that this year there is a 72% of vote share. 72% of people cast their vote. Next year, next general election, 80% of the people cast their vote. What does that shows? The increasing share of election, the increasing voting percentage in elections shows that yes, people have trust in the system. People have trust in the election system. People have faith in the political system. Hence, this is the significance of elections. Now, I hope few basic terminologies have been clear by now. In the next entire video lecture series, we are going to cover our syllabus as per the MPPSC new standard. And yes, we will touch the level of UPSC because at the end of the examination hall, I don't want you to say that पेपर तो यूपीएससी लेवल का आया था, एमपीपीएससी लेवल का आया होता तो क्लियर हो जाता. देयर इज नो लेवल ऑफ यूपीएससी और एमपीपीएससी. Whatever you study it comprehensively. And mention not, the team Civil Panda is here 24/7 and soon you are going to have all the variety of video lecture series. Soon we are going to upload our glimpses of offline classroom batch to give you a better clarity on the how we teach and how the subjects are conducted. Till then, all the best. Keep writing, keep learning, enjoy the process. All the best.